Yo, this is gonna be a little bit different type of a video because I kind of want to talk about what would bring me back to play Diablo 2, for instance, right? So I have like a laundry list of things that I would like to see changed with the game in order for me to find the same passion I used to have, um, and wanting to get back into it and wanting to raise the ladder, wanting to raise the seasons and doing all these things, right? Like I have, and this is stuff I've shared with Blizzard as well, because I kind of hoped that giving them really good advice or really good options and things they would be able to put into the game would maybe they would look at it and they would say, okay, yo, we could actually make some money if we did like this, you know what I mean? And that was my thought process. But yeah, let's go over some of the things I would like to see in Diablo 2 in order for it to really become a lot better than it is right now, right? So first and foremost, and a very important thing for me, is a custom loot filter. This has been a thing in the past on Diablo 2, but with D2R they completely removed the option to do that. You'll basically get banned for downloading a third party type program that can do that for you. I had the idea that the standard of heroes, which drop inside of an Uber run, but it has no, basically it does like nothing in the game. It has no value, it has no point, there's no reason for it to be in here. They might as well have removed it technically, right? But I would like to see that being a type of consumable that would give you a random shrine effect when you use it. That would have been a really crazy good use for it, right? Like I would say that would be amazing if you could just have one of those in your inventory and you can go check if you can find an XP shrine. You can't find an XP shrine, you go into your bail run or whatever, and then you just click this one and you're lucky you get an XP shrine. Like that would be amazing. It would be such a brilliant way to utilize an unused item, right? I would like to say I would like to see new rune words added, since they have 120 different rune words that has not been added to the game, but it's in the game file. It's not like they couldn't add that. They could easily just uh, add that. Really, like that is not a big, massive thing. It wouldn't take a whole lot of manpower to do a lot of these things. It would be very simple and easy to implement. I would like to say I see some of the unique changed, so we could get materials might be actually usable, or like there is like a handful of uniques that are just so poorly made because they have made other stuff since then that's just so much better in terms of armors and weapons and all this stuff with rune words. And they should have, when they implemented that, kind of upgraded a lot of the uniques, right? And made them better, or at least made them usable, so you could use them up until the point where you got the runes for the rune word that you really wanted. I would love to see stackable currency, or a currency tab like they have in PoE. Um, Either or would work for me. I don't really care if it's stackable or if it's like a full tab what it goes into. Either or would be perfect, because the stat space is just becomes a problem. Once you reach a certain amount of characters, stat space is just a fucking problem. I have a full secondary account full of mules. There's 22 mules full with items and charms and all kinds of stuff, because I can't have it in my stats. There's no room for any of it. So I had to literally make a secondary account just to have the gear that I want to save and not want to use right away. Another thing would be a unique stash tab for holy grails, so you can actually hold all the unique items, like one of each. That is one of the things with Path of Exile I really like, is the fact that we can, or we have a full tab dedicated to uniques where you can put one of each unique inside, and that way it would make it so much easier to do the holy grail and actually keep track of everything without having to use a third party program, or without using the app on your phone, where the app on your phone is called Tomb of D2, and they have basically a holy grail where you can sit there and search up all the items and then plug them in on a list if you find them. I would much rather that that was a part of the game instead of you have to go to a third party to basically do that. or have to sit with a notebook and write everything down. It's just going to take forever. It's kind of a waste of time. I would also like to see spawn locations change to the waypoint, so you always, no matter which act you spawn into, you're always spawning on top of the waypoint. So you're basically just standing like right on here, instead of having to stand here. Or it's not really, Act 4 is not the bad place, but Act 3 and Act 2 is terrible because you're spawning in the opposite side of the city and you have to walk through the whole city to get to the waypoint every time. So it's very common, if you run a lot of Mephisto, for instance, in Act 3, that you'll take the red portal, go to Act 4, so you can spawn in Act 4 the next run, so you don't have to run through the whole town to get to the waypoint. It's much easier just walking from here and over there instead of having to go through the whole of Act 3 town, right? So I would love to see something like that. Also, would really, really like to see that we could teleport inside a town. Although I think that might be asking a little bit much, but I would say if we can spawn on the waypoint, this wouldn't be needed really, but it would be nice for sure. And since it's not a damage attack or anything like that, it shouldn't you should be able to use it, honestly. I would like to see a lot of the skill balance, like I would like to see a lot of the underperforming skills be balanced a little bit to be a little bit more useful, instead of what it is currently, right? It's kind of sad to see a lot of things not being used because it's just not performing very well. And I would like to see them open up runewords to other base types, right? So there is what's it called? There is they put in a couple of these features when they put out D2R, for instance, letting you make an insight inside of a bow instead of just having it in a polearm. And they could do that with a lot of a lot of runewords could be much more usable in other types of items. I could give you some examples, but there's just so many examples of runewords that would be usable in different types of weapon types instead of just being locked into one type, right? That would be just a lot of new stuff that's not really new, right? Like it's just old stuff, but it has new potential. Also, I would like to see us be able to upgrade a base type. So if you find a polearm in Act 1 when you're starting out and it's really nice, it might be like perfect sockets, perfect ethereal and all this stuff, but now you have to, getting into Nightmare and Hell, now you have to grind a new base because that base is just terrible for Hell, for instance, because now your mercenary is not doing enough damage to where he can sustain his lifesteal and stay alive. So if you could upgrade that specific base to a better version of the same base and keep your sockets and all that, that would be amazing. I would love to see that. And it could even be a role where there's like not a guaranteed upgrades to something better. It could be random, right? Like I don't mind that, but just that there is a chance that you could do something like that. That would be amazing and would be such a good feature. I would also love to see the ability to put a socket or multiple sockets on an item that already has a socket. So if you find a 4-socket crystal sword, you can add a socket to basically make it a 5-socket, so you can make your call to arms or whatever, right? Like there's just plenty of options or opportunities where this would be a very, very helpful and very good type of upgrade. I would love to see something like the transmog system that they implemented in Diablo 3, where you were able to find a new item that you hadn't found before that had a new type of visual, and now you unlock that visual and you can just add that to any other type of item that's the same as the type you just found. And I think that would be fairly easy to make too. I don't think that would take a whole lot of development time in order to make something happen like that. Of course, I'm talking completely out of my ass because I have no real clue in terms of what goes into developing a game and how much time. I don't really know truly because I've never done it myself. So I'm of course speaking off of what I think or how I think it works, and I'm basing it off a lot of things that I heard other game in other game companies talk about when they're talking about creating content, right? I would love to see set items reworked into something that is actually usable. And it doesn't have to be overpowered or anything, but there's just a lot of sets that's not even usable. You can put them on, but they have no potential. They have no reason to do it, right? Like there's nothing good about it. There's a couple of sets that's decent, like Talrashas for instance, but it's not enough. It's not enough. It should be way better made, right? And another thing I would love to see is more stash space. So when you look inside of the stash, you only have these 3 shared stash spaces, and then you have 1 personal per character. I would have loved to see maybe 3 or 4 more shared stash windows. That would have been nice, something like that. And I would also really like to see the space inside of the cube become the same size as 1 stash tab. So instead of the cube being this tiny little room here, there's really room for this whole window to be, you know what I mean? Like you could basically just fill it all the way out to the edges here, and that would be super nice. It would give you a lot more inventory space. And as you can see here, I have 0 inventory space because I'm holding skillers and charms and all that stuff. So I have no room to actually like put something. I can't even pick anything up if something drops on the ground. But it would be so much nicer if the space in here was just somewhat decent, but it's not. It can hold, like I can put basically 2 items in here, right? Like if it's bigger items, and maybe 4 if it's smaller, but it's just not good enough. I don't think it's good enough, especially when you have mods out there that are doing everything they're basically talking about here, right? Like, if a private 1 person can make that, if 1 person can make that, a company of fucking 10,000 people should be able to take 1 or 2 people and dedicate it to making something like this, right? I don't see the reasoning behind not doing that. Giving the cube a dedicated inventory slot. So what I mean by that is, like, we have our helm slot right here, right? If we had the cube have its own spot, so it would just be sitting here, and you would always be able to hold it, even if your inventory is full. I would love that, because it would make sense. It would make so much sense. It's just an empty space with like this has like a helmet, right? It would be an empty space with the picture of a cube, and then basically what happens is once you get to Act 2 and you pick up your cube, it just automatically jumps into this spot and it sits here, and you can just always use it no matter what. It does not take your inventory. That would be such a fucking quality of life upgrade that it's crazy they haven't done it already. Next would be nerfing terrozones big time. And when I'm saying big time, I mean like nerf it down to the normal grind, the normal 99 grind like it used to be before terrozones. That's what it should be like. It shouldn't be so much better than doing the original grind. It should not be that much better. It should be at the same level, right? That's how I view it. If you had TCs be the same experience gain as it was doing Bale, Diablo, and Nilithak, once you are hitting like 97, for instance, that's the only 3 enemies you want to kill because they're all high level. If you made it so it was more like that gain of experience you gain from that, I would be a lot more happy with terrozones, and I would find them a lot more interesting, and I would find it a good thing for the game, right? And for the economy too, especially for the economy, it would stay good longer. What's happened now is the economy has been completely ruined by the terrozones, and the grind for 99 has been completely ruined by terrozones, and none of the people who used to be at the top of the leaderboards, including myself, is playing the game anymore after that. nobody of those people want to be a part of it because it's not fun anymore. It's not interesting. It doesn't feel like something prestigious to hit level 99. Like being level 99 today is a joke. And I did this 99 in the OG way because it was season 1. It was before terrozones. So it's just sad to see that they completely nerfed it into the ground. There's no grind in level 99 anymore, and everybody can do it. So there's no prestige in being level 99. There's nothing about it that makes it special. It's no longer special. It's just fucking nothing, in my opinion. I would love to see that the terrozones, like if you nerf the terrozones, right? I would much rather that you nerf the terrozones and then you add the possibility of it spawning 3 act bosses and like 2 mini bosses, for instance. It could be like Ralakash or and the summoner, or like countess and like the council, for instance, right? Imagine if you had to fight the countess, the council, Diablo, Bale, and Dariel, all in like one little zone. You know what I mean? It would be way more challenging, exciting. It would just give you so much more interest in doing it. I would also love to see all of the terrible rune words that are just absolutely unusable be changed into something that's just has some kind of like use behind it, where it's actually something people would use, even if it's just early days or whatever. I just don't see the point in having like a bunch of rune words that not a single person makes. There's just no people making them because they are so bad. I would also love to see a solo self-found ladder dedicated to people who play single player, and I would love to see them. Actually, I haven't written this down, but we'll put that right here. Higher player count solo online. So I would love to see them implement the ability to change the player count in online while you're playing alone, so you're able to play P8 games, but you're solo in online. I would love that. I would absolutely love that, because that would mean that there's a reason to make a solo playthrough. There's not right now. You can, but you're gonna not benefit if you don't have a full team. When ladder starts, you're never gonna be competitive, because they just have such a big advantage on you from being players 8 in comparison to you play alone. Would love to see them rework crafting, not the blood and the caster crafts, because I kind of like those. They work really good, but the safety and the other one is like, I can't even remember the name of the other one because I have never physically actually crafted any of those 2 categories. I only craft blood caster because that's the only usable crafts there are. The other 2 crafts are absolutely terrible. They could easily change that into something that would be very usable, and it would be a lot more interesting and make for a lot more fun and a lot more crafting, basically. I would also love to see, like, the standard of heroes doesn't have any use right now, so if it gave a random shrine, but you also could add it into your cube, for instance, right? And the cube would have, like, you put your standard of heroes, you put your Annie and an SOJ into the cube, you press the combine button, and it opens up a new Uber level with all the Uber bosses. Instead of you having to go pick up the keys from Duriel and Dariel and Isaro, you would just have all those 3 with Mephisto, Bale, and Diablo in like one Tristan, and you have to fight 6 of them now. That would make even more challenging, right? Because it's challenging if you're not playing assassin or paladin. Sure, it's somewhat challenging. Even necros are pretty decent at doing it. But if they made it like this, it would be a real challenge. I feel like that would make it much more challenging and much more fun and engaging. And there should of course be some kind of decent reward for it too, and it shouldn't be easy to get. So yeah, that's how I think that would be sick. This is just a couple of things, right? I read this down, and it took me like 20 minutes to write this down, basically, to sit there and just think about it real quick and then write it down. and if I can come up with this in 20 minutes, how come a professional designer can't come up with any of these things? I don't understand that. It to me it seems like a waste of talent and a waste of time to not do this. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me. That's all I want to say about Diablo 2, because this is my most beloved game of all time. There is no other game on this planet that I have loved as much as I've loved this game, and you can tell from my characters the amount of passion that has gone into building this, right? Like to make these characters. It's just not. It's not a little amount of time I've put into this, and I play both hardcore and standard, right? Like you'll see I have more hardcore characters down here, but yeah, I play both sides of it. It's not like I'm a standard player only or anything. It's just they have missed so many opportunities to create something that would have been so great, and if they then added all these beautiful quality of life improvements, and not only quality of life but like just in like good ideas, right? It would I would love to see them take that, put it in here, and then use all of the items and all of the stuff available in the game to build the next title and base it off of the original and make it so it feels like an actual successor to Diablo 2 and not feels like it's something that should have been a DLC in World of Warcraft or some other game, right? That's just how I view this, and I would love to see them do that because I have a dedicated amount, like an insane amount of passion for this. But I am so sad to see how they have treated it lately. And then goes beyond Diablo. It's multiple games under their umbrella that has taken a significant hit from a lot of these less good ideas, I would call them, to be nice, right? But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Keep letting me know if I'm wrong. Keep letting me know if I'm right. And then let's see each other in Path of Exile 2 if you want to give it a chance. I really think you guys should give it a chance. Even if you're like a dedicated Diablo player, give it a chance. I think you will find that GGG cares for that community a lot. And of course, on early access, it's going to be a shit show. The servers are going to be bad. The ability is going to be terrible. There's going to be a bunch of problems with PoE 2 once it launches. But it is a early access beta, so you're going to have to expect that. But the day the game launches in full mode, that's, if you haven't played it up till that point, that's when I would get into it and try it out, because then they'll have everything fixed and all the problems sorted out somewhat. But yeah, love you guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one.